Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Language Lab podcast, where I, Siad, talk to you about the experiments and things happening in my language learning life. And today I want to do a very brief review, the briefest of brief reviews of 2025, and I want to talk about 2026. Now let's start with 2025, the elephant in the room. Language learning wise, I did not meet my goal. And my overall goal was to do 1,000 hours of language learning. And I didn't meet that goal because halfway through the year, I just started working a lot and didn't have time. And you'll see that's when I became less consistent with posting these videos, podcasts. So I didn't meet that goal, and that's okay because other things became more important priorities at the time. And also, I was doing other things at times, like just watching movies, and I got to travel to some really cool places and hang out with people that I care about. And so that was and is really important to me as well. So that's where a little bit of my time was going. I also think too that I didn't really know what I wanted. I mean, I know what I wanted, but I didn't really know what I wanted. And I think that not having spent a lot of time doing language learning the last half of 2025, I now know and have a better sense of what I want and what's important to me and what I want to focus on moving forward. So that said, I am not planning to have 1,000 hours goal for 2026, though I thought about it. And I still think it is a really good goal for me personally to shoot for. But I came around like 300 or so hours in 2025. And so I thought about, okay, well, what if I do 500 hours in 2026 or something like that? And I'm still toying around with the idea. I do track my language learning time, or time spent language learning. And so I do have, and I will have an idea of how many hours I spent language learning. And it's something that I can review, on a weekly or monthly basis or however often I choose. But I think that I'm not going to have an hours goal, and instead I am just going to focus on doing the things that I said I would do. So if that takes 1,000 hours and I'm able to achieve that, then that's great. If it takes 500 hours and I still do all the things that I said I wanted to do, then that's what's really going to be most important. So along with that, I do have some goals that are not hours related. And again, a lot of these are kind of repeats from last year. So for instance, for Spanish, I do want to take the B2 exam. I'm finally going to do it. I feel good about actually doing it this year. And I've already picked that I would like to do it in the later half of the year. And I know when and where. And all that stuff is already figured out because it's actually offered in my town. So that'll be easy for me to set up. And then so I guess my plan for that, reaching that goal, is really focused around proper, I guess, like book study. And I like studying out of books. And in the language learning community, I know that that is sacrilegious, but it's something that I enjoy. I like sitting down with my book. I like taking my notes. I like doing my exercises. I like doing my review. Like, that is what works for me. And I think I've spent a lot of time in the past couple of years trying to do methods and experiments and things that worked for other people but didn't work for me. Like Anki. It doesn't work for me. I don't know why, but it just doesn't work for me. And so instead of trying to force myself to use Anki, what I've been doing, the physical flashcards, which I'll make another video about, that does work for me. And I do enjoy that more. And part of this hobby, part of this skill, part of what I want to do is improve and get better, and figuring out what methods work for me are a part of that. And so I'm going to do all the books that I have acquired related to kind of like Spanish grammar and other things like that. I do want to watch movies in Spanish, which is pretty obvious because I really, really like watching movies. And so that'll be an easy one for me. But the main thing is going to be the main thing, which is to take the B2 exam, and then using the books and kind of study materials that I have acquired in the past couple of years, really, really sitting down and being diligent about doing those. And sort of related to this is that quarter by quarter, I do want to take a practice exam at the end of each quarter. So like at the end of March, I'm going to take a DELE B2 practice exam just to see where I am. And yeah, so that'll be kind of my plan for Spanish. I do have some other kind of Spanish projects that I want to do in the next year, but I want to really think about what do I have time for. And what I have time for, I think, is to finish these resources, these books, to learn the kinds of topics and skills that are really interesting to me and that are needed for the exam, and to focus on that. And then if I have time later, I'll do some of the other kinds of projects that I'm interested in. But that's sort of what I'm thinking with Spanish. Moving right along here is French. And again, I have a repeat goal from last year, which is to take the A1 DELF exam. And am I already A1? Maybe, probably, but and I know that a lot of people will say there's no use in taking the an A1 exam, but it's something that I'm interested in doing. Again, it's offered in my city, so I don't have to travel or go anywhere, and I think it'll be easy. It's also at a time of year that I'll be able to manage, so again, in the second half of the year, so I think I'll be able to do it. Similarly, I'm going to focus on the resources that I already have and just study and go for it. And French is a newer to me language. Again, I've been seriously studying it for like a year and a half or so up to now. So maybe a little longer than that. But again, it's not something that I've studied also super consistently. So I'm interested, I'm committed, I want to do this next year, or I want to do this in 2026, which is past that A1 exam. And then with Japanese. So Japanese is an interesting one. I feel like there online is a lot of content around learning languages, yes, but around learning Japanese specifically, and subreddits and videos and things like that. And one thing that I've struggled with Japanese is resource hopping. I've gone from resource to resource to resource to resource. And I think some of that is probably boredom, frustration, all of those things. And it's not helpful, and it hasn't helped my progress. So I have gone back to a resource that I was using and have just committed to sticking with that. And that's the only thing that I'm going to use to study Japanese until I'm done with at least the first 2 books in that series. And what I realized was that with Japanese, again, like with other things, I was trying to use materials and study in ways and use methods and resources that just don't work for me. And I need, the thing about this is that you do need time to figure out that things don't work for you. And so now I spend the time learning what doesn't work for me. And now I know what does work for me. So you're not going to hear me talking about sentence mining or anything like that, at least not in the near future. But I will talk about the books that I'm using and the tools that go along with it. So with Japanese, my goal this year with Japanese is to feel like I've made progress. And so I'm not going to be focusing on taking an exam this year for Japanese. I want to do my resources. I want to spend time watching movies, listening to music, and feel like I am learning and can understand more Japanese. And yes, that's not a goal that's like really quantifiable, but I think by the end of December 2026, I think I'll know if I feel like I've made progress. And if anything, or if nothing else, at least I'll have some books to show for it. So that I completed. And then other things that I'm learning, American Sign Language is another language, and I made minimal progress with ASL in 2025. I anticipate making more progress with ASL in 2026, just because I live with someone, my wife is an American Sign Language interpreting student, and so she's learning sign language, and of course she is to a degree that I may never understand completely, but I do want to learn more signs and just be able to have basic conversation, and so I'll get there. I'm giving myself time. Also, my hand and my arm are in a much better place than they were in 2025. And so I feel, again, confident that I'll be able to, by the end of 2026, feel like I'm able to have basic conversations in American Sign Language with people. So that's a little bit about my language learning goals for 2026. As I've been consuming far too much content about language goals in the past few weeks, a couple of things that come to mind for me are that I'm thinking about what are the things that I can do every day? How can I show up every day when I'm at my busiest? And I'm really trying to focus my goals and my time and my energy spent on language learning around that, because there will be days where 4 hours just is not possible. And most days, 4 hours spent language learning just will not be possible for me, but I can do some amount of time. And I think that I have structured my goals and in such a way and at a pace that I can make a little bit of progress, even if it is very minimal when I'm at my busiest. And so that's what's been on my mind. And two, I think that I just want to focus on the things that I want to focus on. I really do enjoy language learning content, and there are some people whose content I really, really like and will continue to enjoy, and I'm excited about that. But I think a lot of the how-to content around language learning, I'm probably going to spend less time watching. And that is because I just don't feel that right now in this stage of my learning and my growth, that's what I want to spend my time doing. So yeah, but for those of you out there who are watching this and do make language learning content, and especially vlogs, I'm still going to be watching this. Okay, don't get it twisted. I'll be watching the vlogs, but how to get from A1 to B2 or whatever in 2 days. I always knew that maybe that stuff wasn't for me. Like, I'm not the target audience for that. But I think I've just come to understand and acknowledge that it's not for me. And so I'm not going to use my energy and spend my time watching it. So, yeah, that's a little bit about kind of just the state of things. But I guess coming up for this project of mine, I'm going to still talk about the experiments that I'm doing. how I'm managing those experiments. I also want to do a few resource reviews, so like lab tools, so the books and things that I'm using, because in acquiring far too many books in the past year, I've also learned or not seen a lot of people do reviews of the particular books that I have acquired. And so I just want to do some reviews and share a little bit about those in case that could be helpful to you. So those are my plans. This is going to be, I think, a great year. I feel a lot better about language learning, and I'm really excited about it. And I also hope to watch a lot of movies, which are super random, and read a lot of books, of course. But yeah, that's a little bit about 2026. And yeah, let me know what your plans are. I've watched, again, a lot of people talk about their plans, and so I'm excited for people to learn languages and to be the best versions of themselves that they want to be. So that's all good. And yep, that's all. I will be back soon with another one of these installments. And I hope you're having a great day. And please don't forget to subscribe wherever you are watching or listening to this. Thanks so much.